You are sitting at your desk, the screen glowing against your face. You have 10 tabs open, a list of goals, and a deadline that is looming. Yet you haven't moved a muscle in 40 minutes. Your phone is in your hand, or perhaps you're just staring at the cursor, watching it blink like a slow, rhythmic heartbeat. But then, the door opens. A roommate walks in. A partner sits on the couch nearby. Or maybe you've walked into a crowded coffee shop where strangers are huddled over their own laptops. Suddenly, your hands move. The tabs get organized. The words start to flow. You are finally working, but something feels wrong about it. You aren't working because you want to. You are working because you are being seen. Why is it that your own ambition isn't enough to move you, but the mere presence of another person, even a stranger, acts like a physical key in an ignition? The answer isn't that you are lazy. The answer is buried in a specific psychological architecture that has disconnected your action from your identity. This experience is more than just needing a nudge. It is a quiet, persistent erosion of your private agency. When you are alone, you feel like a ghost in your own life. You have ideas, you have frustrations, and you have a deep desire to be the person who does things. But without an audience, your internal engine simply fails to spark. This pattern manifests as a strange form of paralysis. In your head, you are arguing with yourself. Just open the document. Just fold the laundry. Just start. But the body doesn't follow the command. It's as if your brain requires a witness to verify that your actions actually matter. This affects every corner of your life. You might find yourself performing adulthood only when guests are coming over. You might only feel like a writer or a creative when you are posting about it, rather than when you are actually doing the craft. Over time, this creates a profound sense of fraudulence. You begin to realize that your productive self is a character you play for others, while your real self, the one that exists when the door is closed, is someone who is stuck, stagnant, and silent. This is the externalized identity. It is the psychological state where your sense of self is not a solid object inside of you, but a reflection that only appears in the mirrors of other people's eyes. If no one is looking, the mirror is blank, and if the mirror is blank, the self feels like it doesn't exist. If you relate to this, your first instinct is likely to feel shame. You might call yourself a fake or a people pleaser. But from a psychological perspective, this isn't a character flaw. It is an adaptation. At some point in your development, your brain learned that action and safety were linked to external approval. Perhaps you grew up in an environment where your private efforts were ignored, but your public achievements were highly rewarded. Or perhaps you felt invisible unless you were performing a role that made sense to the people around you. Your brain didn't become broken. It became highly efficient at conserving energy. It decided, why expend the massive amount of glucose and neural effort required for hard work if there is no social payoff or safety guaranteed at the end of it? Your paralysis is actually a protective mechanism, a way to stay in a low-power mode until a social cue tells the brain it is safe or valuable to emerge. You aren't lazy, you are socially over-calibrated. To understand why this happens, we have to look at two specific concepts: social facilitation and the looking glass self. In social psychology, social facilitation is the tendency for people to perform differently when in the presence of others. Specifically, the audience effect suggests that being observed increases our physiological arousal. For most people, this arousal acts as a stimulant. It sharpens focus. However, for those who struggle to work alone, this arousal isn't just a boost, it is the only source of activation. Imagine your brain is a car. Most people have an internal battery, internal agency, that starts the engine. But your internal battery has been disconnected.
Instead, you're using jumper cables, external observation. You can only start the car when another vehicle, another person, is connected to you. This is compounded by the looking glass self, a concept by Charles Cooley. It suggests that we do not see ourselves as we are, but rather we see ourselves through the perceived judgments of others. If you have a weak internal mirror, you rely entirely on these external mirrors to tell you who you are. If the coworker thinks you are a hard worker, you become a hard worker in that moment. But when you are alone, there is no mirror, there is no judgment, and without that judgment, there is no shape to your identity. You dissolve into a state of avolition, a lack of will. To move from externalized agency to internal agency, we have to slowly reconnect the battery. We cannot do this through willpower alone, because willpower is what is currently missing. Instead, we use behavioral psychology to trick the brain into rebuilding its internal mirror. The first step is to bridge the gap between being watched and being alone using body doubling. In ADHD and executive function research, body doubling is the practice of working alongside someone, even if they're not interacting with you. What to do? Use study with me videos or virtual co-working spaces where you see others working. Why it works? It triggers the social facilitation effect without requiring a physical person in your room. It provides the social safety cue your brain needs to exit low power mode. Example, instead of trying to clean your house in silence, you put on a live stream of someone else cleaning. Your brain perceives a collective effort and the friction to start disappears. People who only work when watched are often obsessed with the self. To fix this, we use task-oriented externalization. What to do? Instead of saying, "I need to work," give the project itself a voice. Treat the task like a person that needs your help. Why it works? It shifts the focus from, "How do I look while doing this?" to, "What does this object need?" This bypasses the looking glass self because the audience is now the work itself, not a human judging you. Example, if you are writing a report, don't think about the boss reading it. Think about the data needing to be organized so it can be understood. You are serving the information, not performing for a human. We need to prove to your brain that private action has a reward. Currently, your brain thinks private action is a waste of energy. What to do? Perform one tiny meaningful action that no one will ever see and that you will never tell anyone about. Why it works? This builds autonomy signaling. By keeping the win a secret, you prevent the social dopamine from taking the credit. The only person who knows you did it is you. This strengthens the internal mirror. Example, straighten a drawer that no one opens. Do 5 push-ups in a locked room. Don't post it, don't tweet it. Just sit with the knowledge that you moved without an audience. Often, the reason we need an audience is our internal voice is either silent or hypercritical. We need to develop self-referential speech. What to do? Narrate your actions out loud to yourself as you do them. Why it works? It creates an audience effect internally. It utilizes the brain's phonological loop, making the task feel more real and witnessed, even if the witness is just you. Example, say out loud, "I am picking up this pen. I am writing the first sentence." It sounds simple, but it anchors your consciousness in the physical world. Think of your agency like a theater. For a long time, you have refused to perform unless the seats were full. You've been waiting for the applause to tell you that the play is worth starting. But the self isn't the actor on the stage. The self is the theater itself. The walls, the seats, the stage, and the lights. Whether there is an audience of 1,000 or an audience of 0, the theater still exists. The play still has meaning. The goal isn't to stop caring what people think. That's nearly impossible for a social species. The goal is to realize that the most important witness to your life is the person living it. When you work alone, you aren't working for no one. You are working for the you of tomorrow. You are providing a gift for your future self, who will wake up and find the work done, the room clean, and the path cleared. The next time you find yourself paralyzed in the silence of your own room, don't reach for your phone to find a witness. Don't wait for the door to open. Close your eyes and realize that your body is already being seen by you, the person who has been with you through every failure, every secret thought, and every silent longing. That person is worth performing for. You aren't a ghost in an empty room. You are the architect of a private world, and that world is finally ready for you to begin.